stage 2 of a series run on deploying deep learning apps to AWS. I'm just going to bring up where we're at. And if you look at, for example, changing energy here on the blog page, you'll see there is a series of the 6 stages that we're going through here. We've already covered one of them, the first one, in a previous blog and in a video series. So if you haven't done that yet, please take a look at it. That's here, so they're sort of in reverse chronological order. I'm going to cover here stage 2. So the steps I'm going to go through are covered in more granular detail. Some of the nuances you'll find in the video that maybe aren't there on the blog and vice versa, but the detail of the steps we're taking are covered there. So if you need to revert back, you'll see that there. What I'm just going to put up just now is a picture of the architecture involved in each of the 6 stages here. So if you can see what we've got here, we're basically if I can just get a picture. Okay, so this stage here, stage 2, is what this particular video is going to walk through. So we're going to use a number of tools here. Node.js, Node Package Manager, they're already installed if you've covered stage 1. Visual Studio as well, Visual Studio Code, we installed in stage 1, so we'll be using that again for most of the local build. This is all a local stage, so we're not going to do any pushing to AWS yet. They come later. React and Flask are involved in the process. So there's React, which you should know from stage 1. That's the front end. The back end is Flask or Python with Flask, the specific library we're going to use, and that's going to do the model hookup. And that's about it. The end result should look like this screenshot here we've got of our app. Okay, so cool. Let's close that for now, and I will bring up the steps we're going to use here. Here's Visual Studio for code. First thing we're going to do, what I would suggest is have the blog page that I just showed up on a different screen. If you're using 2 screens, that will help. So what I referred to is this, so you can walk through the steps. And the first one is we're going to create a local project folder. So if you just go to open folder here, a few ways to do it. I'm going to go into apps here. New, right click with your mouse, and new folder is going to be DL, let's see, local -DL app, no spaces. Select folder. Select it again so that it pops up on the left-hand side here. This is going to be the environment we're going to work in for the entirety of this stage. All right. So we then want to go ahead and install a boilerplate React GUI. So this is quite similar to stage 1. In fact, in some ways it's a bit easier. But we're going to open a terminal here. It should default, as you can see from the path there, to the folder we've just created. Okay, let's zoom in a little bit as well so it's easier to see. You have to zoom out again in a minute to see everything, but that should do for now. All right, the boilerplate React app here, we need to do an install of that. This is the famous CRA create React app. You can find this line anywhere out there on the web, but I'm just manually typing it in for now. Create React app. That will install into that folder the boilerplate. Okay, it's very quick. And then we need to build it with npx. You can even press up to cycle back to the previous command, because all we're changing really is npx create React app is the same. We need to give where we're going to build this into, we're going to create a subfolder here called React front end. Again, no spaces, and let that run. That'll take a couple of minutes. Okay, we should be coming quite close to the end of the process. Looks like we're just about there. Okay, when you see that happy hacking message, that's the end of the process. So we can now, and tells you right there what we need to do just to test that front end boilerplate is running. Do these lines one by one just so that you can rationalize what's happening. We're going to change directory into the front end folder we just created. You can see the path is updated there, and then we'll start the app with Node Package Manager. And what that should do is open up in your browser, your default browser. I'm using Chrome here. The spinning React app, something similar to what we saw in stage one. We're actually going to replace this with a deep learning interface. And to do that, we need to move on to the next stage, which is next sub-stage, I should point out, which is stage 2.3, if you like, where we're going to create a back-end Flask Python script. But we've done that part. That's up and running. How do we create a back-end Flask app? Well, first of all, you probably want to just close down for now your React breakout of, you can see here, we're still stuck in that. So if you press Control-C to terminate that for now. In your project directory here, you can see we've created React front end. There's some file down there. That's the React app we've just created. Right click in the space underneath. We're going to create a new subfolder here. Just make sure you're underneath so that it's a subfolder. It should be at the same level as React front end there. This is, we are going to call Flask backend. And then we're going to go into that folder, and we're going to create a little Python script. So you can do that just by clicking your new file. We're going to call it app.py. Okay, it should open on the right there. Make up a bit more space, a blank Python script. We're just going to copy in this code here that's on the web page I referred to, the blog that sits behind this video. So there you go, right click that, copy, and just paste that in. Okay, what's happening here is basically we need Flask. We haven't installed this yet, so we're not going to run it just yet. We'll do the install in a minute and then run it. But you can see it's going to set up a Flask blank template almost. It's going to render this HTML that sits behind here. We're going to create that in a minute from the React front end. We're going to unpack it from there into the Flask backend folder, and it's just going to display a simple message. That's the kind of standard syntax for Flask. we're going to swap out all of that code without, or rather, I should say that the internal part of the code we will swap out. The rest of the template was going to remain the same, and we'll replace it with a deep learning interface. So that's it. Stage 2.3 done.